Today I want to tell you about a journey that I've been on for most of my life. Ever since I was a kid, I've heard tales of Bigfoot and wild men while spending time with my friends and family. As I grew older and read more about the paranormal, my interest in cryptids and other things strange only deepened. That's why I'm so excited to share with you what I've personally become involved with, the Untold Radio Network. The Untold Radio Network is a live streaming podcast network that airs a new show every day across all podcast platforms, YouTube, and more. They have 8 different shows on all sorts of exciting topics, such as Bigfoot, cryptids, UFOs, aliens, and much more. I even have my own show called Weird Encounters where I talk about all things strange. This is more than just a podcast network. It's a community that allows me to meet so many amazing people who share their stories and experiences with the strange. If you're interested in hearing more of these stories and learning more about the paranormal and cryptids, make sure you check out the Untold Radio Network for all kinds of exciting shows. It's free to subscribe, so what are you waiting for? Visit www.untolradionetwork.com today.
Hey everybody, this is Lestrade. Yes, I know, aka Survivor Man. And you're listening to Brian on Sasquatch Odyssey.
Hey there and welcome back to Sasquatch Odyssey. Thank you so much for joining me for the show. It is Friday. I hope you're having a great week. We have an amazing guest lined up, but as always, I want to start the show by inviting you. If you've had an encounter and you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email. You can get me at brian@paranormalworldproductions.com. You can head over to the website, check it out, become a member there, and help support the show. As I said, we've got a great guest lined up on the show. I got to sit down and talk to Alex from Kansas, and Alex had some really interesting experiences while he was out camping with some of his buddies. I'll let Alex get into all of that, but one of the things that came up during this interview is something that we've not really talked a whole lot about on the show, but it is often a topic of conversation when you're talking about cryptid encounters, particularly with Bigfoot, and that is whether somebody has had drugs or alcohol or maybe under the influence of anything really when they have their experience. And that's something that comes up in this case. And I really struggled with putting it out there because I had no idea that it was even on board until we were already full on into the interview, because Alex and I didn't talk about that ahead of time. We had to address it in real time when it came up, and I asked them the questions because just like me, when you hear the story, you're going to ask those kind of questions, and I think it's important for us to have an open and honest dialogue about that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a totality of the circumstances kind of person when it comes to these kind of encounters. I'll let you decide once you hear Alex's story. Tell me what you think about that. You can send me an email, brian@paranormalworldproductions.com. I'd like to know what you think. If somebody has had a few beers or they've smoked a joint and they have some kind of experience, whether they hear something, see something, experience something, is that enough for us to completely throw out the encounter totally and just chalk it up to some sort of hallucination because of the drugs or alcohol? Or do we take it in as data and look at the totality of the circumstances to make an honest judgment on their claims? What say you? Send me an email and let me know. But enough of that. Alex is on the line and he's ready to go, so it's time for you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I want to welcome our guest to the show. It is Alex from Kansas. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Hey, Brian, it's great to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about this Bigfoot thing. What got you interested in the subject to begin with?
Growing up, I'm pretty young. I'm 23 in a couple months, so I don't have a lot of life history to go off of. I always had heard about Bigfoot from TV shows, movies, cartoons, and I always thought maybe there is truth behind it, maybe there isn't. For the longest time, I got to see it with my own eyes to believe it, and a lot of people are like that. So I just assumed when they find a body or catch it or get video evidence or picture evidence that's not from, the 1960s or 70s, maybe I'll believe it more. With the internet and deep fakes and all that stuff, there's so many, look at this, it's real. And then you just look in the comments and that's not real. Here's where they bought it. Here's where they made it. wasn't real. The only thing I really believed in was, like, confidently believed in without seeing, was really aliens. Because my dad, he's very wise. He's in his 60s. I was one of those people, if my dad says it's real, then it's real. His favorite motto or saying is, the devil knows more because he's older, not because he's the devil. And so with his age, I trust him. But other than that, aliens I know it's real without having to see it. Because it's just, look at the facts, look at the information, look at the evidence over hundreds of years, all throughout history. There's proof that there's aliens out there. But with Bigfoot, Yeti, I'm trying to think of all the cryptids that I can name off the top of my head. Loch Ness Monster, the Dogman, all those things. I haven't really seen, those aren't really in the spotlight like aliens. You go anywhere in the world, you just ask, oh, aliens, anyone's going to know. But you ask anyone, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, they're going to say, what are you talking about? What's wrong with you? Now, I didn't start, I guess, passionately believing that Bigfoot was out there until last September 2022. I had an experience with my friends that for the longest time, I couldn't explain it. I couldn't add logic and reasoning to it. And my friends, my two buddies, one of them, right off the bat, did not believe it. No, that's not it. You're being ridiculous. Don't tell people you saw that. People are going to think we're weird. And my other buddy I was with, he was in between me and him. Oh, I don't know what it was, but we didn't see anything, so we can't make heads or tails of it. And then me, I was the first person to hear everything. So I believed what I felt, when I heard, what I experienced. And then for the longest time, when I was in that phase of, I don't know what happened, I don't know what that was, I started looking into it. What animals are in that area? And then I see a list of small animals. And maybe it's one of these. Maybe it was a couple of them. Let's look into it. Nothing panned out. Nothing came of it. And I thought, well, maybe it was someone playing a joke. Maybe someone was playing a joke. More would have been done. You know what I mean? People, if they're going to commit that hard, they're going to commit all the way. They're going to play with the tent zipper. They're going to move your stuff around. They're going to mess with you. If they're going to mess with you, they're going to mess with you. And then I started looking on YouTube, actually, is what got me into the podcast world first. Was I looked up weird sounds in the forest, weird sounds here, giant steps taken around campsites or stuff like that. And everything that came up was Bigfoot related. And so I thought, I didn't see a Bigfoot. There's no way. It's not real. How can this be? And I play a couple podcasts, a couple YouTube videos, a couple people talking. That's when I first got introduced on YouTube, Survivor Man. And then all those people, I was like, you know what? These sounds make the sound that I heard. And then, I listened to it and I go, okay, that checks out. Well, what about the sound? And then I find a different TV show or podcast or YouTube video, and they describe the same, they can't make the sound, but they've described the same exact sound that I heard. And then I go, you know what? I'm going to look into it more. And then I found podcasts like Bigfoot Society. I found podcasts like yours. And I was like, you know what? I think it might have, at the most, it might have been. When I always tell people, like, if you can prove me wrong and tell me what it was, then good, then great. But if you can't tell me what it was, and you're an experienced hunter, you camp every weekend, and you can't tell me what it was, then I'm led to believe otherwise. So starting with the experience, I'm going to start from when we got there to the morning we left. Because it was only we cut it early. So instead of being there for 4 days, we were only there for, I think, maybe a day and a half to 2 days. So like I said, me and my two friends, we decided to go camping. A guy's trip. We're all 21. We're all finally 21. You know how guys are when they're 21. They want to feel tough. They want to go out into the wild, put some hair on their chest. And so we make the plan. We get everything and we go camping. And we get to our campsite, pretty normal day. We go, we set up, we walk around, and I scope the area just because I'm a little hesitant to go camping. I've never truly gone camping before then. So I thought, I don't know what animals are out here. There's probably nothing, but if there's weirdos out there, because whenever I leave the house, I'm more afraid of the people out in the world, not the animals or the other stuff. The people are the real danger. We walk around, we collect some firewood, and our campsite, the way it was laid out is it's the little drive, like the little pavement area. And then right behind that was like the camp table and then the actual tent plot where we put our tent. So that's all kind of set in a rectangular shape. We set up and we look around, and right behind us, making a half circle around the campsite, and what separates the campsites from the other campsites is like a thin tree line, probably like an 8-foot tree line. And then past the 8-foot tree line is a clearing, a big open field clearing. There's nothing there. It's surrounded by trees. So we're like, oh, that's amazing. That looks beautiful out there. We don't see stuff like that in our little town, our little city. And so we set up and we're just relaxing, shooting the breeze. It's getting late. So we decide, let's make the fire. Since we had never gone camping, we didn't take fire logs. We were just putting little sticks in our fire pit. And so, of course, the fire sticks didn't last nothing. They lasted right until it got dark. When it got dark, that's when we were like, okay, we all noticed like fire's going down. Who's going to offer to go find sticks? We're sitting there, fire's going down, and we noticed that the campsite next to us, probably about after that 8-foot tree line, probably maybe 10 feet out is another campsite. And a couple and a dog are coming in, and we thought, oh, that's weird. They're just getting here and it's already dark. September, the sun doesn't go down until about, oh man, I want to say 7:30 or 8. We just thought that was odd that they were getting there that late. They have a dog, and the dog just like barking like crazy. The dog's freaking out towards the tree line, towards the clearing. And we're like, huh, that's weird. We thought he was smelling us or something, because the day before on the drive there, we were smoking a little bit. We got there, we were drinking a little bit, celebrating. Oh, we did it. We made it to the campsite. So we were like, oh man, we're going to get busted. That's what this is. The dog's freaking out. He smells what we have. We're going to get busted. And the owner, the guy and the wife, they're like, get back here. Come on, get back. And they get the dog back. So they put it in their truck or in their tent as to not bother people. So that happens, and we write it off. Dog's being a dog. We're not going to think anything of it. And then after that, my two friends, they decide together that they're going to go find wood, and I'm going to be in charge of the fire. Right there, I had no say. They just decided, you stay here, keep the fire going. We're going to go out into the darkness and find sticks, and we're going to take the car. So good luck. Have at it. Just keep it going. Don't let it die. And so as soon as maybe 3 minutes after they drive off, the fire is getting low. I'm adding anything I can. I'm taking the cardboard off the soda boxes. I'm taking paper we have. I'm putting any kind of sticks and twigs, because it's pitch black out there. And we have maybe 3 flashlights, a small handheld axe, and a couple pocket knives. And I say to myself, I'm not going where the firelight doesn't touch, because I've seen all the movies. I'm not doing it. I'm putting stuff in it, trying to keep it going. It's dwindling more and more by the second. I'm getting nervous. And all of a sudden, in the clearing, I start hearing like this one loud guttural noise. I don't know how, I guess it's like intuition, but you know how big something is for how loud it is. If you heard a cow's moo, you would know, well, you can tell that's a big animal, because only a big animal can make a big noise like that, because their lungs are bigger. They can hold it for longer. They can get it louder. And I start thinking like, oh man, that's so weird. This is really making me uncomfortable. And I don't know if it was getting closer or if it was getting louder, but I was hearing it like more and more. I was like, at about probably 3 minutes into listening to that, I'm freaking out because my friends aren't here. I don't know what happened, but the dog is just silent now, not making any noise. And I'm like, what the heck? Why isn't he was just going crazy 10, 20 minutes ago. Now he's just asleep. When the noise, I'm hearing it more. And so I start to panic because I don't have anything. We didn't have guns. We didn't take anything to really protect ourselves from anything because we didn't expect that we would need to protect ourselves. So I'm freaking out, trying to keep it together. And every time I hear it, I'm freaking out even more. So I called my wife and I told her, hey, my friends are gone. They went to go find wood. There's something big, like 30 feet from my tent, and I'm scared. And, at the time we had 2 roommates, and on the phone, I hear everyone, they're laughing because they think I'm playing a joke on them. Cause I try to be funny sometimes, and they thought I was joking. So they're laughing their asses off. They think it's funny. And I go, this might be the last time I talk to you. So I don't know what this is. The adrenaline and the fear is just pumping. I hang up because they don't believe me. They think I'm fooling them. So I call my 2 friends and I go, you guys need to get back here now. There's something here. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I go, there's something. I don't know how much more descriptive I can be. There's something big here and you're not. So you need to come back here because whatever it is, I'm not going to fight it or get killed by it alone. You're here too. You guys die with me type of thing. So they come back literally maybe not even 5 minutes later, they get back. So they were like, I don't know, I guess they were close or they were speeding, but they got back pretty quick. And when they get back, the headlights shine into the clearing. We can't see past the trees with the headlights because the trees really do a good job of blocking out the light. And so we didn't see anything. They pull up and the noise is still going. And I go, what the hell? Why? If it was a regular animal, the noise of the car and the headlights, I thought would scare it off. And at the time, I'm not a hunter. I don't do that kind of stuff. So I couldn't tell you like, oh, if it was a deer, this is how it would behave. Or if it was a raccoon or a coyote, this is how it would behave. So we were very unexperienced in that wildlife knowledge, and it's still going. So one friend takes the wood, putting it in the fire, and I grab my other friend who does not believe it at all. He doesn't buy it. I told him, hey, come here, look, listen. And we hear it again, loud, big noise. And we're like, he's like, no, it's a cow. It's a cow. Watch this. And he tries to make it into a moo. And I look at him, I go, I've heard moos. That is not a moo. And I don't know about you. I'm not the smartest person. I didn't go to college, but I don't think I need to go to school to know that cows don't live in the forest. Cows don't live in the forest. Animals with hooves can't even cross train tracks. I know that much. They'll break their ankle or their leg. So I doubt they're going to trek through forest and find a random clearing and just go up to people. And the noise, man, I want to try and remake it. It might sound a little goofy, but I've explained the noise to so many people and they're like, I don't know. Maybe it was a giant owl or maybe it was a giant wolf or something. I go, is it really easier to think it was a mutated animal than just saying, oh, maybe it was a Sasquatch? It was like a cross between a howl, because it was long. It was long as a howl, but deep. I want to say deep like a bison. It was like like that. And it was longer. I can't hold it that long. But it was probably like a 10 or 15 second long noise. And it was like, how do I say this? If you close your eyes and you're facing someone's back and they start talking, versus if you have your eyes still closed and they face you and start talking, it sounds different. Okay, the sound's traveling opposite direction versus sound is traveling my direction. I was getting the intuition that it was facing us. It almost felt like it was making the noise at us specifically, because I'll admit it, we were being loud. We were playing music loud the whole day. We were really like, I don't say disrupting the peace, but there wasn't noise. And then we show up and there's a ton of noise. And then 3 21-year-old guys, like, we think we're tough. We're walking tall, like confident. Something would pick up like, oh, there's 3 young males that entered the area. This is my area. I need to let them know that this is my area. And those noises, I try to explain to him, listen, dude, I've never heard that before, ever. I don't know what kind of cows you've been hanging around, but cows don't make that sound for that long. And why would they be in the forest? And He calmed me down. He was like, listen, it's nothing. You're freaking out. Relax. You're just scared because we're camping and you're not used to it. Just relax.
Stay tuned for more Sasquatch Odyssey. We'll be right back after these messages.
Then I go, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just looking into things. Maybe it is nothing. We relax. We sit down. It's probably about from when the people next to us got there and from when they got back. That whole time probably took maybe 30 minutes. So it was probably like 9:30 or 10:30 because we weren't looking at our phones. We didn't have good reception. So we weren't really keeping track of time. But the feeling, like the tiredness I was feeling or we were feeling, was that time, like getting close to when we go to sleep, but we're staying up late. So it's probably about, I'd say confidently, maybe 10 o'clock is when it ended. And we're sitting down by the fire. We're just talking, relaxing. I'm still a little like, I didn't like that noise. It made me really uncomfortable, but there's three of us. There's three dudes. If it was a person, no one's going to just randomly mess with three dudes. They got back. Once it was all of us there again, the noises stopped. So I was like, oh, okay, there's probably nothing. We eat and my friend decides, let's celebrate. Let's smoke before we go to bed. So we smoked a little bit before we went to bed. And at this time, it was probably about 11:30. So we went to bed still pretty early. For us, it was pretty early. So we go to bed. We all settle into our tent and we go to bed. We all slept in the same tent because I was really excited to go camping. So I bought an 8-person tent for 3 dudes. I didn't want to tell people, oh yeah, we all slept in a 1-person tent. We're right next to each other. I got an 8-person tent and it was a pretty big tent. Off the top of my head, I don't know the diameter, the numbers of it, the dimensions, but it was a good sized tent. It took up the whole plot. So the way we had it set up was my side was the far left side of the tent. And we slept long ways. And my side was closest to the tree line where I heard those noises. So I was right there. My not so skeptical friend was to the right of me. And then my very skeptical friend was the farthest from me. I'm trying not to use their names because they won't admit that something happened. Out of respect for them, I'm just trying to I don't want them to come across this podcast. So we're sleeping, we passed out, and we wake up. Oh man, it was late because you can feel like when you wake up late, oh, why did I just wake up? I'm going to go back to bed. When I think about it, it was probably, I would have to say, between 3 and 4 a.m. because it was pitch black. The fire was completely gone. We put it out a little bit, but we left embers going. I know you shouldn't do that. We left the little embers going. And by the time we woke up, everything was asleep, dead, quiet, everything. And I wake up and I'm facing the middle guy and we all slept facing each other's heads. And so I woke up and I hear steps and I go, first I play it off because I'm like, oh, it's one of the guys. But the more I open my eyes, I see you're there and he's there. Obviously I'm here. What is this noise? And so I listen more. I'm just laying there listening, looking at my friends, hoping that they'll wake up too. And maybe the noise they make from waking up will scare whatever it is off, whatever animal. So I'm facing him and I hear these steps. And at first I'm not thinking anything of it because it sounds like it's in that 8-foot tree line that's blocking us from the clearing. And so I write it off and I'm like, oh, it's nothing. But I keep listening and it comes out of the tree line. I can hear it because I can tell, okay, it was making all the rustling noise and now it sounds like dirt, exactly where our tent is. And I go, oh crap, it's right there. Before I can think anything else, it circled the tent. And what's crazy is that it circled the 8-person tent from the point it emerged all the way around back to where it emerged. It circled it in 5 steps. And I was listening to each step. And it wasn't like how a four-legged animal walks where it goes 1, 2, 1, 2, front legs, back legs. It was like, there was rhythm, like comfortable, like definitely bipedal, step, step, back to where it was. And at first, I don't think anything, oh, cool, whatever it is, circle the tent. I go, it just took 5 steps and it circled the tent. It would probably take me, I'm 6 feet tall, it would probably take me at least 15 steps. And that's taking big lunges to circle this tent. And this thing just circled it in 5 steps. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And each time it took a step, I'm not going to say it shook the ground, but you could tell, whoa, whatever it is, that's heavy. That's a heavy step. And I'm looking at my friends the whole time that it's happening. I'm looking at them. I'm like, guys, wake up. Please wake up. In my head, I'm like, wake up, please, because it's going to know I'm awake. I can't stay quiet. It knows I'm awake. They never move. They don't move a muscle. And I noticed, looking back, I noticed I didn't move at all. I was like gripped. I thought I was moving, but when I think about it, no, I was thinking about, oh, maybe I should get up. Maybe I should move. Maybe I should make noise. But I didn't do anything. And that was really weird for me because, like I said, like I have Tourette's. And so sometimes like in high stressful situations, I start to twitch a little bit. And I was we were like mummies. Like we were not moving. We were not talking. We didn't make any noise. We were like dead bodies. And I'm laying there. It circled this tent. I thought everything I'm thinking. And it just goes away. Just goes back into the tree line. I'm like, holy crap. What just happened? I'm thinking, do I wake him up now? What do I do? I'm thinking, my mind's going 100 miles a second. Eventually I just fall back asleep. And the next morning, it's early, and I get up. I'm the first one to get up. And immediately, first thing I do is, oh, that wasn't a dream. I'm going to go check this out. And so I walk around, I go outside and I look at the tent. There's no scratches. There's nothing there. And I look at the ground, nothing there, nothing out of the ordinary. It's just dirt, mud, everything's wet because it was drizzling. There's nothing there. And my friends get up, I write it off. There's no way something that big walking around wouldn't have left a track. Clearly it was in my head. Maybe it was all in my head, right? We're waking up, we're making breakfast, and I asked my friends, I go, man, how'd you guys sleep last night? They both go, oh yeah, good. I don't know which one of you got up to walk around and was just walking around outside, but not cool. It woke me up. And I said, what? I didn't get up last night. And they go, I didn't get up last night. And then my other friend says, one of you guys had to get up because I heard the walking around. It was one of you guys. They really thought it was me because I'm bigger. I'm considerably bigger than they are. And so they thought, oh, the loud, heavy footsteps, it was probably him. But I told him, like, no, I swear to Christ, I did not leave the tent at all last night. And they said the same thing. They said the same thing as I said last night. And I thought, oh, did you guys wake up last night? And they go, yeah, we woke up. I woke up at, I'd say this time, and I woke up at this time, and I'd say I woke up at this time. And they too thought that it was me because, like I said, we were facing each other's backs. I could see them laying there, but my friend in front of me, he couldn't see me, so he thought it was me. And then my friend in front of him thought it was one of us because he couldn't see either of us. We're talking about it and we're like, we didn't wake up last night, but we all heard the same thing. We all didn't leave the tent last night, and we all heard the same thing when we woke up, and we didn't talk to each other when we woke up. And so we were like, huh, that's so weird. Why would we all wake up and hear and listen to the same thing individually? And it was just crazy. And I wrote it off for so long. Oh, it was just a funny camping story, funny coincidence. I don't think anything of it. But when I get back home to Olathe, it's only about, I want to say, a 4-hour drive from our campsite where we were. So it was not far. Like we were back in a day or less than an afternoon. We get back The next day we get back and we never talk about it. We just never mentioned it. We never brought it up. I'm assuming they never told anybody because they were very adamant that it was nothing happened. I'm not mentioning it to anybody. Let's leave it at that. And I sat with it for months until I started researching. I talked about it all the time with my wife, and I thought, I'd ask, what could this have been? What is this? And at one point she had me explain everything, every little detail we did from the moment we got there to the moment we got in the car and left. And we looked at everything and we thought, big noises coming from an animal or something that shouldn't be in that area. Because we don't have wolves. There's no big animals that could make that noise. And even if let's say one broke out of a exotic zoo pen and was wandering the forest. I don't know what animal would take one step at a time. And that was the biggest part of it, was the steps. Because this tent, it's like a regular Coleman camping tent. And this tent is huge. I mean, it holds 8 grown adults. And this thing circled it, went all around it in 5 steps. And when I tell people that part, that's when they get that look in their eyes. Oh, he's lying. No, that didn't happen. He was dreaming. Or, oh, he wants to seem cool, or I don't believe it. I don't buy it. And nobody who I not explained it to, but talked, oh, well, what could do this? No one believes that it would be anything. And for the longest time, I didn't want to explain it to anybody unless they were like close family members, like my wife, my brother, and maybe my dad. You're the first stranger, or you're the first person who's not like I see almost every day who I've told about it. And when I listen to your podcast, I listen to it almost every day at work. I put my earbud in and I listen to it. And you always say, if you experience something, email, reach out, say something. Because you never know, someone in Texas might have experienced the same exact thing, but they also think it's nothing because they've never heard anything like it. And so when I decided to reach out and email, I was even still, no, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say everything. And they're just going to say, no, I don't buy it. You're lying. And so I was very like, oh, maybe I should bail out, because like I said, I didn't see anything with my eyes. I didn't see a print or a footprint. There was no physical evidence that I could show. You know what I mean? And that was the crux of it, is that I don't have anything to show. It's all not in my head, but everything's a memory from that night in my head. And I can't give it to people to live through it like because it's my experience. And that's really it. Yeah.
I'm definitely glad that you came on and shared it. I'm glad that you did not bail out, because it is important to pass that on, because I think there's a lot of people, as you're talking, I'm making notes and I'm looking and thinking, okay, I've talked to people who've had very similar experiences. I've had experiences that I can't explain, that I didn't see something. I'm dealing with it right now. I just got back from the radium expedition up with Todd Standing, and I'm dealing with people now that are saying, oh yeah, you seem to be okay with the fact that Todd's got people running around in the woods doing whoops and knocks, and that's what you heard. Dude, you don't know. You weren't there. You don't know where I was. Yeah. You didn't have that experience. I can't explain it any other way other than to tell you what I experienced. I can't say that definitively it was a Sasquatch, right? But you start doing that checklist. You go down the checklist and say, could it have been a bear? No. Could it have been a raccoon? No. Could it have been a big cat? No. Could it have been this? And once you check all those boxes of what it's not, you're left with the possibility it was probably either a person or it was a Sasquatch, right?
Right.
And if it doesn't make sense
process of elimination.
Right. If it doesn't make sense for it to be a person, then you're really only left with that one thing. But I want to talk about a couple of obvious things that people are going to hear this and they're going to ask the question. So I'm going to ask them now.
Yes, please.
Did you, at any point while the noise was going on, I already know the answer to this because I think if you had done this, we'd be talking about it differently. But did it ever cross your mind to try to record it on your phone while you were hearing the vocalization?
No, not during. But after, I thought I was really kicking myself because I thought, you idiot, you live in the perfect time of the world to record something, and I didn't. And I thought, what I told my wife is, because she did ask me, did you record anything? Did you take a picture? Oh, you have no idea how scared I was. I'm not a scary cat. I like horror movies, all that stuff. I'm not afraid to walk around at night. Never. And this fear was like gripping. So scared, I called her from a different state and was like, this might be the last time I call you. But no, I didn't record or take a picture of anything. And I'm really wishing I did. I really wish I did.
Yeah, I'm dealing with that as well because I brought back a ton of audio from the Radium expedition and I've gone through it. I'm so pissed off because we had them going the whole time we were sitting around the fire outside. We're all around the campfire, we're talking, and we heard things with our ears plain as day. We heard what sounded like samurai chatter. We heard wood knocks. We heard whoops. Didn't translate on the audio. And I'm so pissed off because you clearly can hear us say, did you hear that? As soon as it happens,
right.
Did you hear that? And it didn't translate on the audio. So sometimes you can even have the audio going or even video, whatever the case may be, and it just doesn't translate. But I wanted to ask that question. Here's the other obvious question. Again, we were talking about this recently when we were sitting around the campfire. Todd told a story about being up in his other research area in Nordag. He was out with a bunch of people. They were on the expedition and they run into this lady. She's, oh, you're Todd Standing. I've watched your videos. I've seen your documentary. I think that's really cool. We saw a Bigfoot, and she starts telling her story. And the first thing she says was, I was on my 10th beer. We were all drinking. We saw Bigfoot. And the first thing Todd says is, oh, okay. Yeah. You were drunk. Oh yeah. We were shit-faced, but I saw Bigfoot. Obviously you mentioned smoking a couple of times. I don't think you guys were talking about smoking cigarettes. So people are going to hear this and go, was it just some drug-induced thing that happened to them? So speak to that a little bit, and let's clear the air as far as that goes in your experience.
Okay, and I'm really sorry. I feel like I should have asked if I could mention that while we were smoking and drinking, because I didn't know if that was going to be appropriate for your show. But also, I needed to be 100% honest. This is what we were doing, eating, drinking, smoking. If we were doing anything that could influence our thoughts, I say no, because I don't smoke a lot. Really, it was to take the edge off of to celebrate and to what we just heard. I am not a big smoker guy anymore. My two friends, they're like chimneys, and I've seen them smoke a lot, enough that would put me on my butt. And like I said, I'm a big guy, so my intake needs to be a lot more to get to that point. They're smaller. They're smaller than me, like considerably. And I've seen them smoke way more and do way more like challenging things, going through like security at the airport or driving through the city, like Kansas City, where it's not like as simple as just driving down a one-way road. I've seen them work. It's not something that would influence, make them freak out and say or feel like they saw something. And I want to add to that too, is that, okay, let's say, well, we were all so gone because we smoked. I don't know. I've never heard of 3 people doing a like non-hallucinogenic drug and then sharing the exact same experience hours after, like we had slept and then woke up hours later and heard it. You know what I mean? And I'm not a professional. I've never talked to I don't even know who, like a doctor or someone who studies the effects of drugs and stuff on people and groups. But I've looked it up, and I've been around people all group of them drop harder hallucinogenic drugs that last half the day. And I've never heard of them experiencing the same thing, key for key, note for note, and then being able to remember it start to finish the same as a mostly sober person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate the answer. I know people are going to say that. And here's what I always say to that.
Right.
Just because you get high, maybe you smoke weed, just because you drink alcohol. That's one of the things we did not do in Radium. Nobody had any drugs. Nobody had any alcohol. Everybody was stone cold sober, because if you did experience something like that on an expedition for 7 days, we all want to be able to say we were of clear mind, sound mind and body, that kind of thing. But here's the thing about that. Even if you smoke weed, even if we all sat around and smoked a bowl every night at the campfire, and somebody saw a Sasquatch step out of the woods and all four of us, whoever was there, saw it, does it mean it's the drugs or is the Bigfoot really there? Because I've seen a lot of drunk people. I've seen a lot of people smoke weed in my day. Right. And it's not a typical hallucination for people to, especially multiple people, to say, I was having a few beers and I saw Bigfoot. So those things are not often seen hand in hand, and not everybody who has some marijuana or some alcohol sees a Bigfoot. So even if that is on board and that is something that's going on in the encounter, I think you still have to weigh the totality of the circumstances to say, now you're tripping acid. Are you doing shrooms in the middle of the woods? And some people see some weird shit.
Thing.
That's a whole nother ball of wax, right? That's a whole nother thing entirely.
%.
Yeah. So I think you just have to weigh the totality of the circumstances. And obviously when people hear your story, they're going to either say, I think that guy's credible, or he's full of shit because they were all high. Stay tuned for more Sasquatch Odyssey. We'll be right back after these messages. I personally don't get that from you. I'm looking you in the face now as you're telling your story, and I certainly don't get that. So for whatever that's worth, people listening, they can take my opinion for whatever it is.
And I got asked the same thing by my wife when we got home, because she knew the two friends that went with me. And so she knows, like, she asked, do you think maybe you smoked too much and you just freaked out? I said, even if we smoked so much, like our body weights in it, it's not, no, from the research I've done and growing up and learned is that smoking pot isn't going to make you see things. It's not going to give you hallucinations. It's not going to last 5 hours and last into your sleep and into when you wake up, and then make you share the same thing with multiple people. I've never seen a report of pot doing that. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't, show me what it was then. Show me what we heard. Show me a recording of the sounds we heard. Prove it to me. If you can't do that, then you can't really talk down on what I experienced, on what all three of us experienced, because you weren't there. You know what I mean? It's very easy for someone outside looking in to say, that's weird. That doesn't look weird. Until they're inside and they know how it feels, they're not gonna have an understanding of it.
Very well said, my friend. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I've had a blast talking to you, and I really enjoyed hearing what happened to you.
Thank you so much. When I emailed last week, I was like, they're not going to get back to me. I'm not a researcher. I'm not even 24 years old. Then I think, oh, it's just some kid. Don't even write back. And when I got an email back, I was like, no way. No freaking way. Because you're like a celebrity to me. And I was like, holy crap. I have a chance to talk to him and stuff and tell someone who believes in the same things I do what happened. And it's like an honor. It's like meeting your favorite actor and being able to talk to them essentially face to face.
I'm glad you did, man. You're the celebrity, not me. That's for sure.
The opportunity alone to talk about it is by itself, it's been amazing.
They say you're